I was asked to explain what somebody referred to as my own awakening, quote unquote. I don't refer to it as an awakening, quite frankly. I mean, I think the word may be overused. I don't want to convey any wrong impressions. I talk about where I am now is in a state of heightened awareness. I just know more than I knew before it happened. I don't remain in my mind. I'm very, very much amenable to sliding outside of my mind. And as I slide outside my mind, you can hear my voice change as it's released from my mind. And this is what picks up the energy, communication, the thoughts. And the energy comes in the form of pure energy, and then there's an assemblage of it. And then that is what comes out from my mouth. It comes processed through my mind's communication ability. And there's a close working together of my mind and my place of being where I am now. You can feel that, and you know it's not coming from my mind. And what happened was, I happened to have broken my leg a few months before this happened, and there were a number of caregivers in my life. And I started getting massages, and I met a wonderful massage therapist who was from Belgium, a beautiful, beautiful woman, inside and out. And her name was Fabienne. And Fabienne had come from a Barbara Brennan seminar. And I won't spend the time telling you who Barbara Brennan is now. You can look that up. But she's distinguished, and she has healing schools all over the world. And Fabienne had just come back from a 2-day seminar with Barbara Brennan. And I said, well, Fabienne, how was it? She said, it was terrific. I said, well, show me what you got, you know. And she said, oh, I don't know enough. I said, please, let's just do it. So she started working on me, and within 10 seconds, I was someplace else. She was working on the minor chakras of my feet. And I was there, but now I saw these 3 huge waves. One was in shades of gold, yellows. One was in shades of violets, and one was in shades of greens. And I saw them above me, and they were going to come crashing down upon me. And strangely enough, I had no fear. I had no fear because for the first time I started to feel I knew I was a part of it. And then they came down, crashing together, and the colors mixing together kaleidoscopically. And I knew that this was where, or part of where I belonged. Though separated, I then experienced actually like I was like on a flying carpet ride. And I think its sensation was I was over Europe someplace, and there was saw a European village, and it was in impressionistic style, which means there were no sharp lines and forms. It was just shimmering. And as I passed down over, I saw movement in the village, and I said, "Oh, those are some people in the village." I said, "No." Suddenly my vocabulary changed. Those were now beings. And I never had used the term before in my life. And I accepted that. And then we were coming over what I feel to be a Scottish or a castle or something like that. The moat around it was a little bit darker. And there was movement down there. And now it wasn't anything about people. It was, well, there were beings there too. And off we went. And then into a volcano and out the other side. The volcano was still. And as we came over the other side, there was a cloud out here. But I was in a vastness where there were no points of reference. So the cloud became my tether to some place. And it now began to change densities. It became translucent, then it became transparent, or having degrees of transparency, and then it opened, and there was a hole there, and I could see it, an opening there, and I looked in there, and there was a tunnel, but it was like segmented like a caterpillar almost, and it was in shades of olives and golds, and it was just went down like this, and my sense was it wasn't anybody calling to me. There was no music or anything like that, nothing dramatic like you might read someplace, but the sense was I could go there if I wanted to, but there was no reason to, and I chose not to go there. So then the cloud disappeared. And now I saw in the distance, about like this would be, but distant, and there was a window, say an aperture, because with no sharp line and form again. And in there was something or somebody, and there was a being in there. And what they said was, "It's okay." And I said, "I know." It was reassuring me, so that there was no fear on my part. And at that point I was saying, "Thank you, Source, thank you, God, for letting me experience this, letting me see this, experience this." And then I went further, and now I saw a scene that I'd seen many times before. It was always the last thing I saw before I was going to sleep at night. Only at nights when I was having trouble sleeping. And I always thought I was up on a hilltop looking down to a valley at dawn. And there were lights on in the valley. And then up the other side, there's that little pale band of yellow light, the first day type of thing coming, and the canopy overhead dark with the stars. And then when I looked at the valley, I said, "Oh, there are lights on the valley." And I said, no, those are beings." And no sooner had I said that than I heard, "That's right. We've always been here. You just chose not to notice us. You're not alone now. You never have been alone. and you never will be alone. And for the first time in my life, I knew I belonged. I was a part of it. I was not alone, and I was loved. And at that point, Fabienne came walking back into the room, and she said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yes, everything is fine." She said, "What's going on?" I said, "There are no limits. There are no dimensions. There are no boundaries. And I'm loved." And that started my process, my heightened awareness.